Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, Anita Finley.
We have a surprise for you today. This is I love to talk to Chris MacDonald. The memories of Elvis in concert. I was so privileged to go to hear his concert when he was up in West Palm Beach. And I go to a lot of concerts, and I see very fine entertainers, and I was really looking forward to this, but I got so much more than I ever thought I was going to get with you, Chris. You're just such a showman.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. We have such a great time. I really enjoy what I do, and it's about timeless music, fantastic music, and we've got a big band, with a horn section.
I know you do. I couldn't believe
dancers,
that.
and it's, we try to present the music at its best, and what's so great about it is that you're talking about 3 decades of music. So we cover like the 50s music Elvis did, All Shook Up and Heartbreak Hotel and all those songs, and then we go into all the movie songs, Return to Sender and Viva Las Vegas, and the songs from Blue Hawaii, which you remember I gave out those Hawaiian lays during Cannot Falling in Love. And the ladies came up to the stage. And
they ran up to the stage, Chris. They were knocking people over.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And we do the Black Leather, that 68 comeback, which was a lot of great music, too. And we do that little sit-down session where we do the acoustic version of, a couple songs, and we take a little break and then come back and do the White Fringe, the 1970s, and I give out the scarves, and we do all those great songs, and hopefully you enjoyed some of that stuff too that maybe surprised you, like My Way, Elvis's version of My Way we do, which normally is people relate to a Frank Sinatra song, but Elvis did it too, and we put those kind of songs into Sweet Caroline, Neil Diamond song that Elvis also recorded, and plus his hits, but it's just such great music, and it covers so many decades, and so many different people were touched by the music. My mom got me into this. That's how I got into the music as a little kid, watching those old movies on TV, and he'd beat up the bad guy, and he'd win the race, and he had beautiful women chasing him. Even as a little kid, I said, man, it's a great gig.
I have to tell the audience, I know that Chris kind of went this pretty quickly about what he gives out. So he's singing this beautiful music, and he gets everybody just oohing and eyeing and clapping, and then he decides to come off the stage.
Yes.
And he walks down, and now he either has, as he said, he has Hawaiian lays. Now, these are grown people sitting in their seats, right? Well, when he wants to give them out, they make a mad dash. I even saw some men do that. I guess they wanted to bring it back to their wife. And of course, he can only give out so many, but they ran down and they came back. They had such smiles on their faces. And then he sings other things, and then he comes back, and now he's giving out scarves, real scarves. But the way he does it is beautiful. He doesn't just throw them out into the audience. He carefully places them on each person's neck, and nothing would do, but they have to kiss him.
It's a rough job, but somebody's got to do it.
I mean, it's so beautifully orchestrated. Not really, your orchestra's great, but the way that you've done this is, you know what touches them. And I think that it will be one of the highlights of their life.
Well, thank you so much. All I can do is, try to present in the best image possible of, what Elvis did with his music and did with, I think the connection, to me, that's what I got out of the whole thing, is what an entertainer has to do, and what Elvis did with everything he did, is you have to connect with your audience, and you have to connect the emotion of those lyrics and those songs. You have to connect that with yourself, and when you connect that with yourself, the audience feels it too, and that's what it's all about. It's about sharing the memories and having fun. Like you said, it brings them back to when they were teenagers, when they saw Elvis for the first time in the Ed Sullivan Show, or when they saw their first movie, or some of them went to see him in Vegas in the 70s, when he performed in Vegas at the International Hotel. And then there's also people that didn't get a chance to see him live. I personally never had a chance. He was gone. I wasn't able to see him live. So I think, people that see the Elvis experience and they look at it on TV, or if they see the movies or wonder what it's all about, the best thing you can take from it is that connection with the audience and with the material. And that's what we try to present. And when you do that, you have fun. You have a great time. And the audience feels it, you feel it, and it's like a big party. And that's the way we want to do the show, and hopefully it comes across that way.
It does. So let me tell everyone who's listening now, you have a chance, big opportunity. Get your pencils out. You want to mark down Saturday, April the 16th, from 2, it's a 2 o'clock show and an 8 o'clock show, so you get your choice. It's going to be at the AVENTURA Arts and Cultural Center, and you can get your tickets at aventuracenter.org. Or you can call their box office, which is 877-311-7469. I'll repeat that. That's 877-311-7469. Let me tell you about this. The Aventura Arts and Cultural Center is right there in Aventura, and it's right on the water. So it's very beautiful. Parking is good. I don't know if they have valet or not, but it probably doesn't matter. But you will be so thrilled to see this show. It's a full production Las Vegas style show. They have an 8-piece band, if you want to believe that, with dancers and singers. But you said something about you never saw Elvis. Well, I did. I told you that when we talked before at the Olympia Theater in downtown Miami. And of course, he was very young at the time that I saw him. But when I looked, he did not have the production that you had at the time I saw him. He really didn't. He was pretty much himself with the guitar, and he had something. But I was more impressed, this is terrible to say, with you as the Elvis than with him as the Elvis.
Wow. Well, I appreciate that. And we just try. I think what happened, the earlier part, like you're saying, in 1956 at the Olympia, it was like drums, bass, and guitar.
Yeah,
Matter of fact, they didn't even have a keyboard because it was Scotty Moore and Bill Black and DJ Fontana. And we've actually performed with DJ Fontana, Elvis's drummer. I do quite a few shows with him. And you're right. The early part of it was just so dynamic that the girls were screaming.
That's right.
You couldn't really hear anything anyway, for the most part. But as time moved on, when he went to Vegas, he did have the big show. He had the Joe Gershel Orchestra, and he had the horn section and the backup singers. And as he got into his career later on, that's when he developed that kind of a show. And that's kind of what we do. We start off the early part of the show, the 50s part of the show. We do it with drums, bass, guitar, keyboard, and then we kind of move in those horns as we go into the other songs, into some of the movie material and into the 70s, and the show gets bigger as the time frame goes through. It's kind of a historical perspective on it. But I appreciate that you enjoy the entertainment value of the show, and that's what we want to do. We want to give you your money's worth, first of all, and we present a lot of music. I'm sure you realize how many songs we did.
Amazing.
And, you're talking about 3 decades of material, and I kind of joke around about it. Elvis did over 900 songs, and we're going to do them all tonight.
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah, right.
And we don't quite do 900, but we definitely make sure that you get a little taste of each of those eras.
So let me ask you something. I don't remember that Elvis threw anything out to the audience or gave out. People threw things at him. How did you come up with this?
With the Hawaiian Lays, he really, when he did the Aloha from Hawaii and some of the other concerts, he would throw out a few scarves, and he'd throw out a couple lays when he did those particular concerts, and he would do those later on in the 70s. He didn't do that in the 50s, but in the 70s, he did hand them out there in the 70s. And I think that's kind of, we did pull that in because people do recognize that. The Hawaiian Lays, though, I thought would be just a nice touch with that movie, Blue Hawaii.
Right.
And Can't Help Falling in Love, which to me is one of the best love ballads ever written.
I know it.
Is a perfect song to give people lays to.
It is, but just interesting. When you start the music, they know exactly what it's going to be, don't they?
Yes. I mean, most of these songs, they're so much a part of family, memories. My mom used to play the music, and again, we'd sit down in front of the TV and watch those old movies. And during the holiday times, of course, she'd play that music too. And I think that's how people have experienced the phenomenon of Elvis. You've got your aunts and uncles, your grandparents, moms and dads, and the new experience of it is the fact that if you look at what Elvis did, with 1956, the Rebel Rocker, and the fusion of music, from predominantly rhythm and blues played by black artists at the time. That's where he grew up in the area of the Mississippi Delta, and he was able to infuse rhythm and blues and gospel and country and put a really good-looking face on it. And back there in the 50s, and then he was on the Ed Sullivan Show, and the rest was just like wildfire. That just kind of changed everything. So I think a lot of people appreciate that, contemporaries. And even John Lennon and other artists, of course, said that before Elvis, there was nothing, for them. They just, as soon as Elvis came out, the Beatles, they all wanted to be Elvis, basically, but they created their own style, of course. But, they all wanted to be a rock and roll idol. And I think today they still look for that kind of American Idol. That's what that show's about. American Idol and The Voice and all these other shows that come out, they're looking for someone that has that dynamic presence on stage and that can really shake things up.
And it's rare. It's rare. Yeah. I don't know who has had it lately, but you're right. He did have something that just you could not imitate it. And that's why what you do, and you always say that what you're doing is you're not trying to you're doing a tribute rather than imitate him. But you are so skilled and you're so attractive and your outfits are so beautiful. And so you really could be a twin.
Well, we try to do that. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. No, I try to we try to present it so that it's authentic, but at the same time, as you probably remember from the show, it's done naturally. The vocals are naturally close to Elvis, performing, singing naturally close without going over the top. I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to do him so much that it ends up being comical. We don't want that. We want it to be a good tribute, something that's quality and done with respect. So it's done naturally. The moves are done naturally. And when I dance and move around, it's similar, but at the same time, it's a fusion of my own rhythm and my own steps. And, this kind of thing, it's kind of all come together where I want to remind you of Elvis, but I also want to make sure I remind you of the incredible impact of Elvis, and there'd only be one Elvis Presley ever. So, it's done as a tribute to him. We talk about what his accomplishments were during the show while we present the music. And, it's telling a story. It's about the shy, humble country boy who became the king of rock and roll. And that's what we're trying to show you with this. And having fun is the whole key. And that's every single show I have such a great time.
I know you do. And your band, and I was thinking about that. That's pretty expensive because you travel all over the country. Do you take the same people or you have a pickup band?
Yeah, no, we actually, the root of the band, rhythm section and the horn section leader, and sometimes we take all of the horns, sometimes we take the horn section leader with the rhythm section, then we pick up 3 players in wherever we are, whether it be New York or Boston, or pick them from Nashville, depending on where we are in the United States. And, I have great charts, and we take those with us. And then there are times we take the same horn players, all of them at the same time, depending on where we are and budgeting and so on. But it's done to make sure that we really, really want to present the music the best way we can. And this music has such great connection with the audience that you want to make sure you do it right.
Tell us about Graceland's Heartbreak Hotel. I don't know much about that, and you are the only person they allowed to perform this. But when do you do it? What's it like there? Talk about that.
I actually performed for Elvis Presley Enterprises at the Graceland's Heartbreak Hotel for 7 years, every January and every August. And what happens is January they have the birthday week where they do festivities and they celebrate his birthday in January. So I performed there at the Heartbreak Hotel. And then in August they had the Elvis week, and that's when everybody comes together for the memorial tribute and the candlelight vigil. And so I was hired by Elvis Presley Enterprises to perform for Elvis fans from all over the world every January and every August for 7 years. And it really...
That must have been scary in a way because you're really being judged a lot.
Oh, that's the whole thing. Just to do it once would have been wonderful. But for them to say, "Hey, you got the gig, keep coming in and do it," and then this gave me the kind of being able to perform for real Elvis fans. It gave me an understanding of how to do a tribute without having people. Like you said, people can judge. People can say, "Oh, just an impersonator, or you know, blah blah blah. You know, some people don't like impersonators. So with this, the way I presented the show, by presenting it to true Elvis fans from all over the world, I was able to really make it my own tribute to Elvis, so that people understand that's what I'm doing. It's not an overdone impersonation. I think that's why, you know, I kept coming back and had such a great time with them. And it allowed me over that time frame to develop my own production show. And I was able, that's what I'm doing now. I'm able to take the production show of my own, because I worked for Legends in Concert too. I've performed, and I've been in Vegas and Branson and you know, basically all over the country with other production shows. That now I was able to create my own show. And then having that experience with Elvis Presley Enterprises allowed me to do that.
I see. Well, let me tell everybody again. So now if you're drooling about this and you want to go and see him, we've got the dates. It's Saturday, April 16th. It's coming up a couple of weeks. It's 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. So you make a decision. It's a full production Las Vegas style show. He has an 8-piece band. He's got dancers and singers, and Chris MacDonald's there in his outfits. He comes out with the white, with the black, and then with the black, and then with the fringe. I mean, you just can't believe that you're not sitting there watching Elvis. But anyway.
Thank you very much.
It's true. So you do get to, now, if I didn't you have some stuff, some video up there?
Yes.
Yeah.
In between some of those costume changes, you know, bringing the different eras together, we actually kind of lead you into it. You know, we may have Ed Sullivan come on the screen and intro Elvis and, you know, do a few of the songs. And there's also a little thing about the movies that goes on before the movie part of the show. And then, of course, we'll set up for the black leather. And then we take a little break and then come back for that 70s part of the show. And we run a little clip to lead you into that era of his career. So it really tells a story. It's a multimedia production.
And the one thing that was very impressive for me is that Elvis, as famous as he was, went into the service where a lot of other people were avoiding it. That said so much about him, didn't it?
Oh, very patriotic. He loved our country, and he was called upon, and he did what he his service they needed to do, and he was always very, very grateful for everyone that appreciated that too, because he thought it was just something that you have to do. He didn't even think about it, you know, and to have everybody react the way they did, he was just very happy about that, and of course he was able to come back and continue making movies, and matter of fact, they made GI Blues, which brought that into play.
Yeah.
The movie GI Blues.
And he came back, actually he was famous before he went in, but when he came back, he really, really hit the charts. I mean, he was so, everybody just knew him. And what it was not actually a cult. I think what it was is it was a style that he was able to take from the gospel and all the things he did when he grew up, and he then put on his own touch to it, and his body moved, which was different too.
That's what made it.
Yeah, I know it. But he was very sweet. He always seemed to be somebody that really loved what he was doing and that he was touchable.
That's it. The whole thing was a connection. Everybody felt a connection, a personal connection to music and the energy, and basically, you know, I think that's what everybody wants. You know, when you're talking about a performer, when you want to be entertained, the best entertainers in the world are the ones that connect.
Yeah, you know, and you've really picked that up. I mean, boy, are you a connector? I mean, it's amazing how you connected. I mean, I couldn't believe what you were doing. I said that to the person I was with, and I said, look at this. I said, he's coming down off the stage, he's giving things out, he's hugging him. I mean, he is really having fun. I just loved it. So let me ask you some more questions about his life, because I don't know very much now. He actually got married, right? He married a woman, Lisa?
Priscilla.
Priscilla, sorry.
Yeah, Lisa was his daughter. Yeah.
Okay, Priscilla. And how did that go?
Well, he had a beautiful wedding and a beautiful love, probably the main love of his life. But eventually, because of the touring and everything else and the constant bombardment of life and so on, he ended up getting a divorce. But even after the divorce, they were still close. And of course, she really helps with the estate, and also. Oh,
so she's still around.
Oh yeah, Priscilla. She helps with the estate, represents the estate of Elvis Presley, and always is wonderful with fans. And yeah, she definitely stayed close to him even after the divorce.
And what about Lisa, the daughter?
Lisa's also a representative of the family, and she has her own music career and her own family and everything. Yeah, she probably, I think now she's kind of slowed down a little bit with that, but she put out her own recordings and her own music and toured. But her kids are doing stuff now too, and they're acting and getting into the entertainment business also.
Now, so what happens at Graceland? Is it strictly a tourist destination?
Well, you basically can see the home. You can actually visit the home as a tour, and there's also the different souvenir shops and historical kind of little mini museums. There's displays, the auto displays of his cars and vehicles, and also one of the most amazing parts of that tour that goes in the home is the racquetball court, which also there's a display of all of his awards on the wall. There's gold, platinum records, gold records, awards. You can see the accomplishment of what this guy did with music, the industry, and it's pretty amazing. And then, of course, now they have exhibits of his costuming and his outfits in the movies, and it's basically it gives you little recorded explanations of each thing too. There's a way that you can have a device that you put in your ear, and it really goes in depth into each of the displays, and what happened, what's going on with there's the stables out there too where the horses were, and it kind of gives you an idea of a little bit more personal aspect of what Elvis was like.
So this is an estate. It's huge. I mean, this is pretty fancy.
Well, it's amazing. This particular Graceland, the actual place was built. When it was built and when he moved in, it was on a highway, which is now Elvis Presley Boulevard, but it was on a road that really wasn't much going on. But now, of course, everything got built up around it, so that it's kind of like in the middle of all kinds of different buildings and everything else that you don't even expect. But what they've done is they took over the property across the street, so they actually there's the hotel. They're also building a new hotel there, and there's shops, and that's where the museum is, and there's all kinds of memorabilia shops and so on, and that's across the street. So the home is on one side, and the other stuff is across the street.
The one sad thing is, I wish he were here to know you.
I wish I wish I could have met him too, and
no, I mean, to see how good that you are and how respectful you have, that attitude that I would think he had. It's just. And you're such a perfect image of him. It's beyond belief, really. Like
I said, I'm a big fan of Elvis and the music and what he did to with changing a lot. I mean, Elvis helped lead in the whole concept of rock and roll with Little Richard and Chuck Berry and Jerry Lee Lewis and Johnny Cash and Buddy Holly and all the great artists, and Elvis really kind of ushered in a lot at that particular time, and I really think all the other music that he did throughout his career really connected. It connected with me, even as a little kid, and it connected with a lot of people around the world. It's amazing how that music and the movies just went all over. I mean, if you talk to any part of the world, they know who Elvis is. Still,
it connected with Frank Sinatra, because when I saw that video, I know I saw it there at the performance, right? They were singing together?
Yes. You mentioned that too. Matter of fact, we did a private corporate event at the Fontainebleau. That's where they actually did that show. After he got back from the military, Frank did a welcome back kind of show at the Fontainebleau in 1960. And we actually reenacted that particular thing for this corporate event. And I had the tuxedo on, and they had a gentleman doing Frank, and we sang a couple songs together.
How nice that was.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Oh, my heavens. And so you had to find a very good Frank Sinatra, because that wouldn't have been easily reproducible.
Exactly, yes. Yeah, so it was, they had Sammy Davis Jr. and Nancy Sinatra, and so it was a lot of fun. So, but the history, even in South Florida, the history of Elvis has been around for quite some time. The Fountain Blue
Right.
performance there, and as you mentioned, the 1956 at the Olympia Theater.
Right. I mean, I wonder why he was there. I guess there weren't many other places at the time other than the hotels.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That Olympia was back then. It was a pretty good.
It was.
Theater.
There was vaudeville, and then there were movies.
Right. And we actually also, I've performed at the Olympia with
Really?
my show on
Really?
the same stage. Yes.
No
the
kidding.
Olympia Gusman Theater. Yeah.
Oh, you may have to come back there again. I may have to go there to see you.
It's very, very possible. We had a show back there. Matter of fact, I think it was commemorating the performance, and we did the show there on the actual stage, and it was interesting to go back there and be dressing in the same dressing rooms.
Oh my
that
heavens.
Elvis was into.
Yes. No, it's quite a play. Well, this is so interesting. These are new things we haven't discussed before. I don't want to run out of time without telling everybody again. Now, this is Chris MacDonald, who we've been talking with. It is not Elvis Presley, although it sounds like him when he sings. Looks like him, but it's not. It's Chris MacDonald. Okay. Memories of Elvis in concert. It's the only tribute artist hired by Elvis Presley Enterprises to perform at Graceland's Heartbreak Hotel. You just heard about that, but this is your big chance. Write down this date, Saturday, April 16th, 2:00 performance and an 8:00 performance. And it's at a beautiful, very intimate AVENTURA Arts and Cultural Center. You're really going to be able to see him close up, and it's going to be lovely. So it's a full production, Las Vegas style show with an 8-piece band, dancers and singers, and you're just gonna be just drool. So let me give you a way that you can get tickets. You can call the box office at 877-311-7469. Again, 877-311-7469, or go to the website, which is AVENTURACenter.org. Get them. It makes a great gift. You know, you've got Father's Day coming up. You've got whatever you have. Just go and do it. And Chris, it was absolutely wonderful to talk with you.
It was a pleasure, as always.
I love
Thank
it.
you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
Have a great day.